CPU I've chosen is a Ryzen 9 7900X running at 5.6 gigahertz. It's a 12-core processor with hyperthreading, and I selected this over the Intels because the Intels are 8 performance cores plus a couple of crippled ones, which you don't necessarily need. And on balancing everything out, they're both just as good processor, but I went with one that was going to be more reliably fast. Paired this off with RAM that is equal to that processor. These are DDR5s. You've got 64 gigs of RAM, which is more than enough to run virtual machines and heavy work processing. This is a gaming PC, so for the GPU, we went with the top of the line 4090 from NVIDIA, and it's water-cooled block as well, which provides you a little bit more reliability in its cooling, so you shouldn't be getting as much throttling when you are loading that GPU up to its full potential. However, I doubt that many games are going to be able to do that. This computer is going to be its M2 hard disk. The M2 is super fast, so when you're doing video editing, same with the GPU will handle a lot of the graphics in video editing, but what you have is a very fast transport from your hard disk to the graphics card and to its memory bank and back. So it's going to be a lot easier for you to process your videos if you're a video editor. So SSD is being replaced by an M2. M2 is a PCIe hard drive that is literally bolted onto the CPU. Located right there is the shortest path to the CPU, so it can transfer the data much faster than an SSD. An SSD would have to plug into the SATA cables, which run at 600 gigabit per second. These pass through the bridge, then to the CPU, creating a sort of pinch point. Whereas the M2 is located next to the CPU, and it provides the fastest path to processing. So it accesses it almost like RAM, and it's about 20 times faster than any SSD that you could put on, because there is a bandwidth limit here, whereas of 600 gigabit, the bandwidth limit on the PCIe is a lot higher, at about 12,000. So the motherboard, just two main features. You've got 2.5 gig Ethernet and Wi-Fi 6. Wi-Fi 6 being pretty important if you're using Wi-Fi. Make sure you get a router that supports it as well. It will increase your distance, it will increase your performance significantly, especially when sharing with a household of appliances. We picked a pretty hectic case to show off all of these components. It's very good for cooling because things are able to breathe, whereas if you enclose them into an internal case, they're not breathing as much and you're relying more on fans. There are glass panels that go over the front if you want to have them. At the moment, for videoing, we don't have them in place, but you'll receive it with glass panels. There's plenty of space on the back side for adding anything else that you might want to. There's lots of space. There's no need to do cable management because it's all so well laid out. Yeah, it's gonna stay clean. Yeah, there's no places for it to trap dust, and it just looks freaking cool.